Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are the Wild.
It is an absolutely beautiful weather night in downtown Cincinnati, and we welcome you to Great American Ballpark. The 7-game homestand continues with the first of 4 in 3 days against the Reds' National League Central Division rivals, the Chicago Cubs. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome to Reds Baseball. You know, for about a 5-year run, the Reds dominated the Cubs unlike any team in recent memory. That was until September of last year when the Cubs swept the Reds in a 3-game series. That trend has stayed in Chicago's favor so far this year.
Well, you may say the worm has turned, and boy, has it ever. Look at what happened this year. In the 9 games these two teams have gotten together, the Cubs have dominated. 7 wins, only 2 for the Reds. The earned run averages tell the story. The bullpen's earned run averages, they really tell the story. And Joe Madden really handles the bullpen very well. Has even got some more help tonight. They've hit more home runs. In every category you can think of, they've dominated the Reds. And this is after the Reds over the last 3 years are 20 games over 500 against the Cubbies. And this is a new Cubs team. Everybody thought at the very beginning of the year they're going to be better and better. And they certainly are.
If the Reds get any kind of break, it's the fact that they are missing Arrieta and Lester in this series.
Well, they just pitched the last couple of days. The Cubs, those top Cubs pitchers did. They'll get Clayton Richard. He's a guy that's only had 1 start, coming back after missing a couple of years with an arm injury. Jason Hamels pitched well against the Reds before. To be announced on the first game on Wednesday, and Kyle Hendricks. So these aren't household names the Cubs are running out there. The Reds feel like they've got them at a good time, but the Cubs, you know, and the Reds haven't really scored a whole bunch of runs lately.
There you see the pitching matchup for tonight. Richard on the comeback trail, and he'll be opposed by a very impressive rookie right-hander, the Reds, Michael Lorenzen. A record-setting day for the Reds closer yesterday. Jim Day has that story when we return. You're watching Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
regional tourism network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Chevy, check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good, it's Skyline time.
Well, this will surprise you. There's a chance of a few scattered thunderstorms running over the ballpark tonight. An upper-level wave will push in from the west, and I think thunderstorms could develop between 7 o'clock and midnight tonight, so that's during game time, and there is that chance one will run over the ballpark. It'll be warm and muggy as well. 84 first pitch, rounding second, 82, heading for home, 78. Remember the Cubs of old? Ernie Banks, Glenn Beckert, Don Kessinger, Ron Santo on third, Randy Hundley behind the plate, left field, Billy Williams, center field, Rick Monday, Jose Cardinal, and right. Woohoo! Yeah, I knew my baseball. Enjoy the game, everybody, on Fox Sports Ohio.
Tim, thank you. I'm Jim Day. Those at the ballpark yesterday and watching at home on Fox Sports Ohio got to witness Major League history. We're talking about Aroldis Chapman. You know he's a strikeout machine. He went 2 innings yesterday in that 11-inning affair, threw 44 pitches. And on that 44th pitch, it was his 5th strikeout of the game and the 500th of his career. He is now the quickest to reach 500 career strikeouts, bettering Craig Kimbrell's mark of 305 innings pitched. Chapman does it in just 292 innings, and he struck out that last batter with the bases loaded. Reds failed 4 other attempts with the bases loaded, walking those 4 batters. So he does it in dramatic fashion. He went 2 innings yesterday, threw over 40 pitches. Is he available tonight? Who knows? Reds bullpen is a little bit beat up right now. They called up Dylan Axelrod, Manny Parra on the DL, so could be a testy situation as far as the bullpen goes tonight. We'll have to wait and see how it unfolds, but Brian Price would certainly like Michael Lorenzen to go deep in the game and take care of the aforementioned. It's the Reds and Cubs. First of 4 games in 3 days. Tom and Chris are next with the call.
Monday night in downtown Cincinnati, and another big crowd. Yes, a lot of them are Cub fans here tonight. Cubs are very excited about this young team and the way it's played so far. They right now have the 2nd best wild card record among all National League teams, behind only the team in front of them in the NL Central standings, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Take a look at Joe Madden, the first-year manager's starting lineup tonight. Dexter Fowler, young man from Middletown High School. Kyle Schwarber behind the plate. Chris Bryant down at third. Anthony Rizzo at first. Jorge Soler in right. Chris Coghlan in left. Starlin Castro, the pitcher. Clayton Richard and Addison Russell, the latter, third. And starting it for the 13th time, his 15th overall major league game, is rookie right-hander Michael Lorenzen.
Yeah, Michael Lorenzen has plenty of rest since his last start. That was down in Miami on the 9th of July, so just about 10 or 11 days now for Lorenzen to kind of beef up for the start against the Cubs.
Steve Reich won, and this one underway.
Young man throws hard, averages 95 miles an hour on that four-seam fastball, and that's really the only kind of fastball he throws. His next favorite pitch is that pitch right there, which is a slider. Maybe that could have been a curveball. A slider, curveball, changeup are his optional pitches.
1 ball and 1 strike on Fowler, and that fastball misses outside. Fowler just a .231 batter, 8 home runs, 25 runs batted in. He does have 13 stolen bases, but by and large, this is a player the Cubs picked up, and certainly were hoping better than what they've received thus far from Dexter Fowler. Paul Schreiber calls the balls and strikes tonight. Here's a 3-1 delivery, and it's a line drive into center field, a base hit for Fowler. So here comes a young man from Middletown High School. Just 22 years young is Kyle Schwarber. Graduated from Middletown High in 2011, a 4-time Middies MVP in baseball, an outstanding linebacker as well at Middletown High, and then played collegiately at Indiana University, where he is the highest drafted player in the history of Hoosier baseball. And man, one thing everybody says about this kid is this guy can hit. He was just here for the Futures game and was named the most valuable player of the game.
Well, he's so excited about coming back to Cincinnati, Tom. He's got a boatload of friends and family coming down from the Middletown area. There are the stats on him. 22 years old, went to Indiana. Great season this year in the minor leagues. It started in Double-A. I mean, he was only drafted last year, so there are only 3 players that were drafted in that 2014 draft that are now in the major leagues. And Schwarber is one of them. The Reds faced Carlos Rodon, left-handed pitcher for the Chicago White Sox, and also a left-handed pitcher for Kansas City is up out of that draft in 2014.
Here's a 1-1, and that ball is lined into right field, a base hit by Schwarber.
Well, that's a quick bat. That is a 95-mile-an-hour fastball that Schwarber turns around right now. So 2 batters for Lorenzen, 2 very well-struck balls by left-handed hitters, and he's throwing it pretty much down the meat of the plate. And even at 95 miles an hour, that's not fast enough to get it by big league hitters for long. And you've got to figure that Lorenzen, having 11 days off since he last started, if you're going to have problems, it's going to be with your command.
Well, now the highly touted rookie third baseman Chris Bryant. He was here, of course, for the All-Star game, was part of the National League's team in the Home Run Derby. 12 home runs, 51 runs batted in. He has 14 doubles and 4 triples. And this is a tailor-made double play here if they can hurry, and they do not. Well, that was very slow developing, because that ball was hit rather sharply, and Suarez, yes, had to go to the backhand side, but normally they are able to turn that one.
Well, you're right about it slow developing, but the thing that impressed me here was that Chris Bryant runs better than I thought. A little bit a deliberate turn down there, and Bryant beats it easily. So I'm not even sure that if they turn it any quicker, they're going to get Bryant.
Well, we mentioned Bryant has 4 triples. Now, sometimes those triples, you can jog around the bases depending on where you hit them. But it also can be an indicator of a guy that can run a little bit.
Big tall guy, 6'5", long strides. He was getting it down the line.
Well, here's Anthony Rizzo. He has become the best Chicago offensive player. Batting average just shy of 300, on base percentage well over 400. 16 home runs, 50 batted in, has 24 doubles. He too was a National League All-Star, and he too was part of the home run derby. Straightaway center field. This will play to run. Scoring from third is Fowler. Going to second is Bryant, and he's in there safely. And it's 1-0 Chicago here in the opening inning. Let's take a look at the Reds defense presented by Ford. Bird, Hamilton, Bruce, left, center, and right. Frazier and Votto, the corner infielders. Eugenio Suarez and Brandon Phillips up the middle. A battery of Lorenzen and Tucker Barnhart. The last time the Reds saw the Cubs, Jorge Soler was on the disabled list with an ankle injury. Now back in the Chicago lineup.
It's a cross-up. And that'll get a trip to the mound by Tucker Barnhart. Boy, he was lucky to have caught that ball. Look at breaking ball right there, and it was a fastball. Barely got the glove up in time. I think Paul Schreiber should be very happy that Tucker Barnhart was able to glove that ball. That ball could have got away from Barnhart and hit the umpire.
Soler made his major league debut at the end of August last year. Hit nearly 300, hit 5 home runs in 24 games, and knocked in 20 runs. And boy, did they just bring him right up the ladder in their minor league system. In a span of 62 games last year before the big leagues, Soler played at 3 different levels of the Cubs minor league system. He was in rookie ball out in Mesa. They sent him directly to Double-A in Tennessee, 32 games in Triple-A, and the final month with the big league club. This Cub team has done it the old-fashioned way. They have built their position players anyway, by and large, within their system. Schwarber, Rizzo they picked up in a trade, but got him as a very, very young player. They made a deal for a very young Addison Russell. Castro's one of theirs. Bryant's one of theirs. Soler is one of theirs. Two and two on Jorge Soler. And that just missed at 96 miles per hour. It's a full count.
Boy, tough pitch to lay off right there. I don't know if he intentionally laid off or whether it got on him so quickly he couldn't pull the trigger. It may look like his foot is out of the box, but as long as a portion of that foot is touching the line, he's okay. In fact, you'll see a lot of umpires and batters for that matter. They'll go to the back line of the batter's box and just rub it out because it's one of those things that you rarely, if ever, see enforced. Technically speaking, as long as he's on that line with a part of his foot, he's A-okay.
The longer I sit here and look at it, I'm not so sure there's a portion of that foot that is touching that back line. There's strike 3 called. That'll end the inning. Cubs get a run on a couple of hits. Reds are coming to bat. Brian Price's starting lineup. Reds at 40 up, 49 down. That matches the season high. 9 games under 500. The lineup presented by Meyer. Brandon, Votto, Frazier to start it. Bruce, Bird, Suarez in the middle. Barnhart, Lorenz, and Hamilton at the bottom. And trying to get his career back on track. At one time, was certainly a better than average pitcher in the major leagues, and left-hander Clayton Richard.
Well, we have seen Clayton Richards primarily in a San Diego Padre uniform. He had some bad shoulder problems along the way. He ended up signing last year a deal with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and then the Cubs acquired him from the Pirates this year, and he went right here to the big leagues after showing he was healthy, coming off a start on July the 4th against some Miami Marlins.
He's pitched in 2 games, 1 start. He's gone 9 1/3 innings, allowed 15 hits and 6 earned runs. He struck out 5, walked 4, something to keep an eye on. Well, you don't have to worry about that in a 2-pitch at bat, and there's 1 away in the inning. So we take a look at Chicago defensively, brought to you by Ford. Coughlin's been a nice find out there in the left. Fowler in center. Soler back and healthy again. That infield, every one of them. And if you throw in the catcher, all 25 years and younger. Bryant Castro. Castro's the old man. He's 25. Russell, Rizzo, Schwarber, 22. Soler is 23. Castro at 25, and he's already been in the big leagues for 5 full seasons, this being his 5th full year. Rizzo also at 25. Russell came over in the Samardzija deal from Oakland last year, and Bryant only 23. Richard made his major league debut with the Chicago White Sox. That came in 2008. Pitched for them as both a starter and a reliever. And then in 2009 traded to San Diego. That was in the Jake Peavy deal. And the Padres thought they had a good guy for a long time to come. Over the next 3 years, twice he won 14 games in a season. In 2010 and again in 2012. He led the National League in starts that year, and posted a sub-4 ERA in all 3 campaigns. Now that's pitching in a big ballpark, but he did a nice job while with San Diego before the injuries hit.
He's a big guy, and he's a big, strong guy. He was a hard thrower, never really had a good feel of all of the secondary pitches. Gets a little slider down or a cutter there, and gets Joey Votto on a ground ball. You know what you have there with Clayton Richard on the mound, a young man that grew up in Lafayette, Indiana, but went to the University of Michigan. So you combine that with the catcher Schwarber, who went to Indiana. You got an all Big Ten battery going here tonight at Great American Ballpark.
Well, that Indiana program has been really good the last number of years. Of course, the Michigan program at one time was one of the best programs in the country. They have really fallen upon hard times. I know Ohio State had a very good baseball team this year, but that is not generally their MO either. That ball is laced into straightaway center field, and it gets out of here. Wow! Holy Moses, was that ball kissed?
I mean, he just goes down and gets a low fastball, and it stayed low, like a laser beam out of here. I didn't think it was going to be high enough to get over that fence. Give him a day off, and he came back all re-energized.
That's Frazier's first home run since he capped off the win in the home run derby. He didn't hit any like this in the home run derby. They were all tape measure jobs. That's a low heat seeker right there.
That's the kind you measure by the percentage of a second it takes to get out of the ballpark rather than how far it goes ultimately.
Maybe we'll see if we can put a clock on that thing. How about some of the bombs hit by those guys in the home run derby for softball players before the game?
There's nothing soft about the balls that they were hitting.
No.
I mean, swing after swing, upper deck jobs.
I was told by Doug Flynn that the kid Wegman, and of course that's a Cincinnati name. Billy Wegman used to pitch in the big leagues. I don't know if he's related to him or not, but Doug Flynn told me that he is considered to be the best softball player in the world. He was part of the home run derby, and that he's been the best player in the world for the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, this guy's banging them just underneath the scoreboard out there in the upper deck. That one popped up. Foul ground up the first base line, and Rizzo comes down to get it, but Frazier, just like that, ties the game with this 1-1 at the end of one. The Pirates a 3.5 game lead in the division over the Cubs, but the Cubs 1 game better than the Giants for that second wild card spot. That's going to be some kind of race to keep an eye on, because just when you think maybe the Giants are going into a little spin, and they've had a number of those situations this year where they look like all of a sudden maybe not the same team. Now they've ripped off 6 wins in a row, and they're right there on the heels of Joe Maddon's team. New York Mets have won 7 of their last 10. They're just 2 behind Chicago for that second wild card spot. Of course, the Pirates were so hot before the break, but then they were swept in the first series after the All-Star break in, of all places, Milwaukee. Brewers are playing much better baseball under their new manager, Craig Counsell. They've won 4 in a row and won 11 of their last 15. Fly ball center field. And Coghlan retired to start the second inning of this 1-1 game. Now the Cubs are winning, Chris, with pitching.
Well, they are winning with pitching, Tom. They've got 2 really good pitchers at the top of the rotation. Really more than that if you go a little deeper. The Reds will not see either number 1 or number 2. But they don't score a lot of runs. And, I was talking to Joe Maddon before the game about that. And he says, I'm not really all that surprised given the fact that baseball scoring is down overall. And we've got a very young team. And it takes a little while for these guys to kind of get into the groove and learn pitchers, because the first few times that you face a major leaguer pitcher, that pitcher has the advantage. There's no question.
And perhaps another reason Chris he's not all that worried is they are so young.
Yeah.
And that perhaps a little bit of extra energy in that 20-something crowd that they're running out there. And now with Schwarber here, who knows? As I tell you what, based on everything we've heard with Schwarber, if all of a sudden he's playing regularly, man, I mean, you're talking about potentially a major league weapon in that lineup.
Well, you have another left-handed enforcer or potential left-handed enforcer. It's very rare to find a left-handed hitting catcher. And when you have one with power, that is even something more. Of course, they had one with Miguel Montero, who was on the disabled list for an extended period of time. And that's why Schwarber will be up here catching along with David Ross, sharing the catching duties. He'll probably go 50-50. A little bit of a slider that kind of hung right there and got Castro out in front on the speed change, not necessarily the break. So Lorenzen has a couple of strikeouts.
Well, Kyle Schwarber's dad popped up here in between innings a moment ago, and he comes walking in with his Cub hat and his Cub shirt. And Chris,
and you asked him the right question.
Well, but he's on, to start, as any parent would be, mom or dad, I mean, you're just speechless. We asked him how's he doing. I can't even begin to describe it.
Well, he just got done driving back from Atlanta.
Right.
I mean, he drove down to Atlanta to watch Kyle play down there, then turned around the next day and drove back. I mean, I'm sure they were here for the Futures game. They've probably been following his career all over, which has been like a meteor through the minor league system of the Cubs. Started this year in Double-A. I mean, after being out in Arizona in spring training, what a whirlwind.
And when he walked in, he has all this Cub stuff on, and the family's from Middletown. They're all Reds fans. They've always been Reds fans. But he's walking around with a Cub shirt and a Cub hat. And I asked him, I said, now, is that hard to put on? He said, I'm not going to lie to you. The first couple of times, not easy. But now, starting to settle in with that. And we will certainly forgive him and his family for it.
This has kind of happened a lot for the Reds. We looked it up yesterday about how the Reds and where they stand in relation to the rest of Major League Baseball in walks with 2 outs. And it seems more often than not, and it's happened a lot with Lorenzen. And I've got to go back to the days I pitched Tom. It's easy for a pitcher to do that because you let your guard down a little bit. You get 2 outs, you let your guard down a little bit. Next thing you know, you're 3-0 or 3-1. You have to groove a pitch. You tighten up a little bit, you walk the guy with 2 outs, and instead of earning yourself a nice easy inning, now it continues on. You run your pitch count up, and only bad things can happen.
And of course, to make matters worse, it's not only a 2-out walk, but you walk the pitcher who was batting 8th with 2 outs, and Richie, who basically has not even hit in over 2 years. But part of the growing pains, and the Reds are going to have to certainly live through some of those with all this talent they have, but all of it in the rotation is so young. 5 rookie pitchers have started for the Reds this season: Lorenzen, DeSclafani, Iglesias, Moscot, and Smith. And now all of a sudden, after that walk, Lorenzen's in trouble. Base hit by Russell, and there's 2 on after there were 2 out and nobody on just a moment ago.
Well, they're very high on this young man, and you really shouldn't be fooled by the fact that he's batting 9th. I mean, because in a few years he may be batting, 2nd. He may be even a leadoff hitter. But he's a young man, as we've already chronicled how young this ball club is, and they want him on base a little bit closer to the meat of the lineup. And with 2 outs, they've got something going where it looked like it would be a nice, easy 1-2-3 inning.
Breaking ball high to Fowler, who singled into center field and scored the Cubs' only run. 1-1, we're in the second. 2 on and 2 out.
Right now, Lorenzen not finishing that breaking ball, just kind of spinning that slider up there. A little better that time. That was a curve. you see a breaking pitch at 81, it's a curveball. If you see it around 86 miles an hour, it's a slider.
One ball, one strike pitch. And another breaking ball is inside. 2-1 on Fowler. Fowler clearly has struggled in these situations so far this year. Soler down there at number 5. Lorenzen trying to continue that trend, and it's off the inside corner to run the count full. So now the runners get started. Already the 43rd pitch of this game for Lorenzen.
Be a good idea to do a little inside move the second right here.
The bases are loaded for Schwarber.
Well, a little tight strike zone right there. Either one of those pitches could have been called a strike, number 5 or number 6. Our Fox Tracks looks like it was right on the black. And maybe a little change of energy coming here with Pico. Jeff Pico, the pitching coach, coming out.
Schwarber has singled his first time up.
You got to tell the pitcher, if you're Jeff Pico out there, is you say, all right, you got the bases loaded. You got to go with your best pitch right here. And you've got to throw it in a position where it's your safety valve. And for most pitchers, that is going to be low and away. By far, Lorenzen's best pitch, and it's the reason he's in the major leagues, is he's got a good fastball. This isn't a situation where you should try to go out and trick a guy. You got to go with your strength. It may be Schwarber's strength to hit, but you've got to go with it and challenge somebody right here. Doesn't mean go down the middle with it, but you throw it low and away and give the hitter his best opportunity to roll over on it and get himself out.
Schwarber has one career at bat. With the bases loaded, he had a 2-run single. Strike one.
Breaking ball there.
Breaking ball.
Really good pitch. Schwarber looking fastball.
Bases loaded, 2 away. Came back with another breaking ball to get ahead, 0-2.
Very anxious in the plate right there is Kyle Schwarber. I mean, he can taste those ducks on the pond out there. Chasing 2 pitches in a row now out of the zone.
Schwarber in 147 minor league games has knocked in 102 runs with 34 bombs. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And the batting average, nothing to sneeze at either through his short time in the minor leagues. .333. 1 ball and 2 strikes. We'll do it again.
Just from a body type scouting report, big, strong, wide, stocky, short arms, probably very difficult to get in on.
Scalded right at Jay Bruce to end the inning. We're still tied at 1. Well, for Red, it's a home run during our game off that Toyota side. Now, Carl, you got to bear with me here. Carl Schweier-Johann from Taylor Mill, Kentucky. Carl, if I mess that up, please forgive me. And all I knew is that if a Red hits one off that Toyota sign out there, you're going to win that Tundra. And you can register for your chance to win in an upcoming game. To stop by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. All right, 1-1 game. Time to exhale after Schwarber just hit that ball right on the screws, but it hung up long enough for Jay Bruce to get it, leaving the bases loaded. Well, what a delightful man his dad is. Just came in over the last inning. Chris, you got that all set up, and what a really, really nice man.
Well, a good friend Tim Parks was able to bring him up. It was nice to see him. But Greg Schwarber, Kyle's dad, very nice man and very humble man. And a guy you can just see the excitement in his eyes. That you live in the dream of watching your son come back to his hometown playing in the major leagues. Boy, that is something special.
Broken bat liner snagged by Ritchie, and Bird retired to begin the inning.
Tom, you asked Greg Schwarber, Kyle's dad, how many do you think you had here tonight? I asked Kyle down on the field earlier, and he didn't know. And I said the same thing, what, 20 or 30? And, of course, his dad said way more than that because he has 12 brothers and sisters.
The dad has 12.
The dad has 12 brothers and sisters.
And all their families.
So don't tell me half of Middletown is wearing Cubs gear now.
You know what, they might be. That can happen to a town when you rally around one of your own and you watch them play since they were a little bitty boy and come up through junior high and high school right there in the school system in Middletown. You were talking to his dad about who he played summer baseball for. Now you're more familiar with that, having had older kids go through it. The Flames, he said, right?
He came up in the Flames organization, which is a very fine amateur baseball organization up in that part of Cincinnati. And then after his college years, he went to the Cape League in Cape Cod after his freshman year, which is pretty nice and very difficult to do.
Bryant, the pirouette, and a strong arm throw to Rizzo to retire Suarez 2-away.
Kyle Schwarber, then he played for Team USA. And then also back in the Cape League again, and was drafted after his junior year from Indiana. So,
and for those, by the way, wondering, well, why didn't the Reds draft this guy? This kid was taken with the 4th pick overall in the country in the first round. So the Cubs drafted way before the Reds.
I think the Reds drafted about 14th or 15th that year and got Nick Howard
out of Virginia. One hopper down at third. That did not take long at all. That's less than a handful of pitches in that inning for Richard. Kentucky Sports Cafe rode the Fan Express to Great American Ballpark. And dates are still available for the Fan Express. Call 513-765-7600 to reserve a game for your group. It was a 7-pitch second inning for Clayton Richard. So here comes Lorenzen. The Cubs loaded the bases in the second inning after 2 are out on walk, single, walk. But Michael got Schwarber on a line drive to right. And it's 1-1 as Bryant starts things in the Chicago third. First pitch swinging a high fly ball. Deep right center field. Billy with room. It's interesting, very early in his career, and obviously Bryant wasn't brought up to start the season. They were a good month plus in when they brought him to the major leagues. Now, I don't know if this is anything that's a big deal or not, Chris, but it is staggering the difference with Bryant when he plays at Wrigley Field as opposed to going on the road. I mean, the numbers are just overwhelming. He has 9 home runs. He's better than a .300 hitter at Wrigley Field. He's hitting .228 after the at-bat tonight, .230. And only 3 home runs in the exact same number of games. Maybe doesn't mean a thing, and it'll all even itself out by the end of the year.
Or in another 3 or 4 years when he's really had a good amount of sample to take a look at what kind of player he ends up being. All indications are, though, he's on the cusp of being a superstar.
That's a good pitch right there. And Rizzo retired on a short fly ball to right.
I got the fastball in on him that time. Not an easy thing to do to Anthony Rizzo. Take a look at that delivery by Michael Lorenzen. It looked like he may have sped up his delivery just a little bit. He did. That's a little Johnny Cueto action.
All right, let's see now if Lorenzen perhaps lesson learned from the last inning and not fool around after getting the first 2 batters out.
Here it is again from the high home camera where it's just not even much of a delivery at all, just a step and throw. Well, I'm glad he has his eyes open while Johnny Cueto's on the mound. I mean, the same way that Johnny Cueto had his eyes open when Bronson Arroyo was on the mound. Got away with a hanger.
One ball and 2 strikes on Jorge Soler. 2 down, bases empty. There's that quick pitch again and rolled foul. And that's strike 3 called. That is a crisp 1-2-3 inning against 3, 4, and 5 in the order. An excellent inning of work by Michael Lorenzen.
Produced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, it's now time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag #OhioDataStrongFan, and you might just see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. 1-1 game. Reds bat here in the third inning against Clayton Richard. Michael Lorenzen to lead things off. 6 hits and 23 at bats for Lorenzen. 3 runs batted in. He has a triple. That's his only extra base hit. A ball and a strike. Billy Hamilton again in the number 9 hole. He's next, and back to the top of the order with Brandon Phillips. Triple came against the Chicago Cubs. Drove a ball to the gap in right center field on June the 11th. Lorenzen, we know, is an outstanding athlete. Runs very, very well. Standing up. Cardinals are off tonight. The Pirates open a series in Kansas City on swinging Lorenzen.
Well, action on that fastball for Clayton Richards. He was always a hard thrower. He's a big guy, as we've already mentioned, 6'5", 245 pounds. You can see that he's lowered his arm angle a lot. I mean, he has had just a ton of shoulder and rib cage injuries that he has come back from. He had AC joint problem, and I won't try to pronounce that, but that's essentially where the clavicle meets the shoulder bone. He's had thoracic surgery where you take a rib out so you can get better flow of your blood and so on in that part of your body. He missed the entire 2014 season. Signed a minor league deal with the Pittsburgh Pirates before they dealt him on July the 3rd to the Cubs, and the Cubs started him in a game on July the 4th.
And 1 to Billy Hamilton. Checks in at just .217 for Hamilton. And Hamilton's on base percentage is just at .266, which means he's only reaching base 26% of the time he makes a plate appearance. And a fly ball to the left fielder. Coghlan is the second out of the inning. Well, if you're on the road traveling and you'd like to watch your Cincinnati Reds, then subscribe to MLB.TV Premium for live or on demand on over 400 devices. Visit MLB.TV for details. 2 up, 2 down. Richard has only allowed 1 base runner. That was a home run in the opening inning by Todd Frazier. Breaking ball low to Brandon, who grounded out to Castro, leading off the Reds' first inning. Inning over. Reds retired in order for the second straight inning. End of 3. It's a 1-1 game. me, it was maybe the most moving moment of this year's All-Star game. The franchise four. We'll have a one-on-one with Aroldis Chapman and talk about what his life was like growing up in Cuba. And after making bats for most of the greatest hitters over the last 4 decades, the legendary Batman calls it quits. Jeff Pecoro, Doug Flynn, another edition of Reds Weekly, a special time of 5 o'clock Wednesday night, right before Reds Live, right here on Fox Sports Ohio. And again, a reminder, Wednesday is a doubleheader, a day-night split doubleheader. First game will be as scheduled, 12:35. And the second game, a little bit earlier start, 6 o'clock on Wednesday night, 7:10 tomorrow night. 1-1 game. Coghlan leads it off. And Michael Lorenzen, coming off his perfect inning of the game, gets ahead at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Another really big crowd on hand here tonight. I mean, you never know based on the crowds over the weekends. Now, the opposition certainly has something to do with it. Cleveland in town over the weekend, but the Reds are 9 games under 500. And we were knocking on the door at 40,000 every game over the weekend. And another big crowd tonight. Coghlan grounds out to Suarez. And you see a lot of blue here. Cubs fans always travel well, especially so when they are having a good year, and it's been a while.
Well, it's actually been a while since the Cubs have done well against the Reds. We showed you at the very opening of the ball game that the Cubs have really turned it over on the Reds. They are 7-2 against the Reds so far this year. This is after the Reds over the last 3 years being 37-17. I mean, in the playoff years, they completely dominated the Reds, or they completely dominated the Cubs. They were always something like 12-4, 13-5 in those 2 years in which the Reds went back-to-back years in the playoffs. So you may even be able to say, I know it's a short sample size, but the barometer of how the Reds play against the Cubs is sometimes could be an indicator as to how they're playing overall.
Breaking ball popped up into foul ground. That's off the top of the dugout.
I'll tell you, I would never have thought that I would think that I'd see Starlin Castro batting in the 6th spot in the lineup. I mean, here's a guy that has batted all over the lineup, but mostly in the number 2, 3, and 4 spot. Is he 5th tonight?
7th.
7th, excuse me. I mean, he's only batted in his entire career coming into tonight 121 plate appearances in the 7th spot in the lineup. You know, compare that to over 1,000 when he's batting number 2, 460 number 3, 500 plus number 4.
Two pitches lifted at Hamilton in center field. 6 in a row retired by Michael Lorenzen.
You know, Lorenzen's coming off a good start. Last time he pitched against the Miami Marlins and Jose Fernandez. And Fernandez got all the hype. You know, he was just coming up back off injury. You know, he was the guy that was rumored to be one of the finalists in the Cy Young Award at the very beginning of the year before he went down with Tommy John surgery last year. But Lorenzen really hung right in there with him. 6 innings of 2-run baseball. The Reds eventually lost that game 2-0. But he pitched a whale of a game.
Now, we wondered the last half inning, would Lorenzen learn from the second? That's when he retired Coghlan and Castro, as he has here in the 4th. And then he walked the man at the plate, the pitcher, Clayton Richard. Next thing you knew, single walk. They were loaded for Schwarber. He retired the side in order in the 3rd, and now ahead of Richard this time at 1 ball 2 strikes.
Ouch. Well, he's been very consistent at home, especially the number of games he's had as a starter with 3 or fewer runs allowed. And this is all the Reds over all the years since 1950. Lorenzen is number 3 in that list with 6 of them, and he retires them in order again.
Back-to-back perfect innings for Michael Lorenzen. Votto, Frazier, Bruce coming up in a 1-1 game. Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. By Meyer, find more for a healthier you at Meyer. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on the U.S. News and World Report's best children's hospitals in America. Welcome those of you, as we do nightly, watching over at Cincinnati Children's tonight. Beautiful day today. Yes, hot. A little bit sticky. We understand a lot of that will be blowing out of here later tonight. And the temperatures will be considerably cooler over the next number of days from where they have been really for about a week. 1-1 game. Part of the order for the Reds, Votto, Frazier, Bruce against Clayton Richard, who's only allowed 1 Reds base runner in the game. That was the home run from the fellow who waits on deck. Joey swung the bat very, very well over the weekend. Had 7 hits and 12 at bats, 2 doubles, a home run, couple of walks. That All-Star break may have done him some good. He finished, you may remember that last road trip before the All-Star break, he had the one big game, of course, against Scherzer and the Nationals. But like many of his teammates, Perez just did not hit at all in Miami.
Good hitting count here.
And he draws a walk to begin the 4th inning. So the go-ahead run aboard for Frazier, who hit that line drive that barely cleared the deep right center field wall. His 26th home run of the season this first time up.
Well, he was guessing fastball, and he got one, and even though Clayton Richard put it in a good spot, I mean, it was on the knees and on the corner, Frazier still hit it over 400 feet.
1 ball, 1 strike to Todd Frazier. Try that inside corner one more time, and again just off of it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Votto a walk to begin this Reds 4th inning. We're tied at 1. Big series beginning tonight, pardon me, Chris, in D.C. Mets and Nationals going toe-to-toe. 2-game spread between the two in the NL East.
You know, when Schwarber tries to go in on a right-handed hitter, it's tough for him to get that inside corner because he throws across his body and everything on the third base side of home plate kind of cuts in off the plate. Got it in there right on his hands that time, but it's a tough spot for him to get a called strike 3. That one's way in there, and Frazier trying to protect the plate. I think he may have got Schwarber a little bit on a follow through there with the bat.
Runner goes, and it's popped up and out of play.
Riggleman running through the signs. Votto asked him to run through them again to make sure that running on the pitch is still valid. Well, he gave a home run up in a spot that was right about there. And that's why he's throwing Frazier primarily inside.
Went away from him, and Frazier hooks it hard for a base hit. So 2 on and nobody out here in the Reds' 4th.
Well, Clayton Richards got to be wondering, how low can I go and Frazier not hit the ball hard? That ball down out of the strike zone hit very sharply, 1 hop through the infield.
All right, Jay Bruce, a batter. He fouled out to Rizzo, ending the Reds' 1st inning. But Bruce has been among the very best Reds over the last month. Ball 1. Votto the runner at second, Frazier at first. Rizzo plays behind him over there, and now 2 balls and no strikes to Bruce. To short for 1. is a call at first base. That's a big double play ball for Clayton Richard and the Cubs. On to third, Votto, but there are 2 outs in the inning.
Well, that's a tough way to turn them, too. Maybe the toughest of all. The 3-6-1 double play goes from the first baseman to the shortstop. Left-handed pitcher's got to hurry to get over there, and Richard does that. All set up by the left-handed throwing Rizzo, just throws it right on the money. He's searching for the bag somewhere. There it is.
So 2 are out, and here's Marlon Byrd. He hit a line drive, albeit a broken bat line drive, back to the pitcher who caught it. And now the pitch gets away, and the Reds are going to take a 2-1 lead.
I tell you, I think that Kyle Schwarber was looking for that pitch outside, and it just broke down and in, got away from him there, and bad time for that to happen for the Cubs with a runner at third base.
And now Byrd slams one into deep right field, and the Reds lead 3-1.
Well, that's a nice bit of hitting by Marlon Byrd. I mean, he's thinking about going the other way with this pitch, hitting it deep right out of the catcher's mitt. Plenty of power there, a little mini bat flip. Not really the flip, just the drop with a little bit of altitude.
Number 16 for Marlon Byrd.
Well, the Reds have signed him for power, and he has delivered.
And a soft one hopper to Castro, and that'll be all. But the Reds score a pair to break a 1-1 tie, and they lead 3-1 as we go to the 5th.
I'm Jim Day, and perhaps you've noticed a new addition to Michael Lorenzen's arm, that being a tattoo that he got over the All-Star break. Now, he's been very, very open about his Christianity. Now, before he turned his life that way, he says he was a much different young man. But over that process, a group really influenced him. They're called the 116 Click. It's a group of recording artists, and their logo is 116, and it's based on the biblical verse Romans 1:16, where it basically says being unashamed of the gospel of Christ. He got that emblem 116 on Wednesday. He says he's proud of it, and he turns to his faith a lot in every facet of his life.
Jim Day, thank you so much for that. Reds lead 3-1, 9-1-2 in their batting order. Addison Russell singled into center field, his only time up tonight. Since Lorenzen, with 2 outs in the second, went walk, single, walk. He retired Schwarber on a line drive to Bruce. He's not allowed a Chicago batter to reach base. 7 in a row retired by Michael. See, Lorenzen, at least it seems like, Chris, you pay a lot more attention to this kind of thing than I do, but it seems like he's mixing in a lot more off-speed stuff tonight than any start we've seen him yet in the big leagues.
Yeah, and I see him shaking off to get to the pitches that he wants to throw. I don't believe that it's one of those situations where he's been asked or told to throw whatever the catcher puts down there. I always believe the pitcher ought to throw what he wants, and you're right. He's got 2 different breaking balls, Lorenzen does. He's got a curveball and he has a slider. And he's got a high arm angle, and sometimes that leads to a straight fastball. But he's got nice life on it because he's throwing it very hard. But that also adds a lot of depth to your breaking pitches, which means they go down rather than sideways.
Well, he came back with a fastball to Russell, and he shot one into right field, a base hit. So now we roll over to the top of the Cubs batting order. 3rd time through against Lorenzen. Fowler has singled, scored, and walked.
This is really the whole idea of batting somebody other than the pitcher in the 9th spot. Now the Reds do it because of Billy Hamilton and his speed, and they'd like to have him at the leadoff spot, but they don't feel that he's ready yet as far as an on-base percentage standpoint, and he isn't. But it's the same way with Addison Russell. So Joe Madden did it way before Brian Price decided to adopt it with Billy Hamilton. Of course, Madden's first year in the league over here as a National League manager after being down in Tampa Bay for so long.
Fowler's on base percentage is at .315. That's gone up a little bit tonight. He's been on twice. Fowler's walked 41 times so far this year, whereas Hamilton has walked only 20 times this year.
Well, batting in the 9th spot in the order since 1935. And the plate appearances you see right there by everyday players. You don't see it very often. So it's something new. I don't know whether it's a product of the sabermetrics, crunching numbers.
Well, you look at the managers of these players. St. Louis, La Russa. Talked about Brian and Joe Madden, and if I'm not mistaken, in 2008 the manager was still, was that Ned Yost still?
Yes, it was Yost. I think he was there.
And Fowler drives one into right center field. Russell on his way to 3rd. Fowler coming to 2nd. Throw goes there, and they got him. What a throw. Boy, Billy Hamilton, he may not be doing what the Reds want him to do yet on offense, but his defense should earn him a Gold Glove this year.
I mean, you got to get to the ball quickly, first of all, and Hamilton does. He cuts it off where a lot of center fielders wouldn't be able to do that. And the throw is on the money. Dexter Fowler, you'll never second guess him for trying on that, because you make the defense make a play, and I'm not sure if there's another center fielder out there that makes that play.
Well, he's just been spectacular on defense.
So fast.
Not a single error this entire season. See McCutchen on that list as well. But even McCutchen would tell you he doesn't get the balls that Hamilton gets to.
I don't think this will be a pitch around here for Lorenzen and Schwarber, but boy, he hit the ball very hard his last time up. In fact, believe it or not, he actually hit his out that went into the glove of Jay Bruce harder than the home run hit by Todd Frazier. And we're not making it up. Here's Todd Frazier, a 400+ foot home run. Ball comes off the bat at 109 miles an hour. Schwarber, we'll show you after this pitch, comes up with bases loaded, and he hits this off of Lorenzen at 111 miles an hour. Harder than Frazier's, but alas, right at him.
There's ball 4 to Schwarber. So all 3 batters have reached in this inning against Lorenzen. That's Michael's 3rd walk. They're on the corners with 1 out, and here comes Chris Bryant. The bounce into a fielder's choice on a ground ball to the shortstop Suarez in the 1st inning, and he flied out to deep center field in the 3rd. Reds with a 3-1 lead with 2 on and 1 out in the 5th. One to Bryant, and a breaking ball dips low and away. 2 balls and a strike. This Reds bullpen is already so worn out, and Lorenzen is knocking on the door at 91 pitches. Number 92 coming up. Breaking ball is swing and a miss. And that's another area the Reds are looking to see improvement from Lorenzen in this his rookie year moving forward. He has not been very pitch efficient, and by and large is a 5 or 6 inning pitcher. And of course they're going to have to watch his innings to begin with based on the number he threw last year and making a jump this year. 2-2 pitch. That ball's hammered into right center. And it bounces into the stands. That'll be a ground rule double. Schwarber will be sent back to 3rd base. And it is a 3-2 ball game.
This is what is so impressive about Chris Bryant, is that his power is not only to left field. I mean, he's got power to all fields. This ball nearly leaves the ballpark. It does on 1 hop, which is a break for the Reds as the runner goes back to 3rd. But I mean, he looked bad on 2 pitches that Lorenzen threw him. He was late on a fastball. He had an somewhat awkward swing on a breaking ball, but he made the adjustment mid at bat. And when you throw the ball out over the center of the plate to him, there he is with the bat head.
So now Anthony Rizzo with a tying run at third, the go-ahead run at second base, 1 out in the inning. I mean, do you think about walking Rizzo here with the base open and take your chances with Soler on deck?
Well, you've handled Soler both times with strikeouts, both strikeouts looking. I think it depends on what happens early in this at bat. Not getting cheated. I always am reluctant, Tom, to put a pitcher in a corner like that, especially a young pitcher, put him in there with the bases loaded where he feels like he has to throw a strike. And Soler's got all the power in the world. So now you jump ahead of him 0-2. I mean, look how he came back and ended up getting scoreboard with the bases loaded, but you don't want to go to that well too many times. We saw what happened yesterday.
For those of you that were not with us, for the first time in a Reds game since 1970, Reds pitchers walked 4 batters with the bases loaded over the course of the game. Cleveland scored 5 runs, 4 of them on bases loaded walks, the other on a sac fly. 0-2 pitch. Struck him out.
Nothing but breaking balls.
So they come right after Rizzo, and they pick up the strikeout. That's number 5 from Michael, and 1 more out to go. An outstanding job by Barnhart. Textbook blocking that breaking ball in the dirt. Here's Soler, who has struck out looking in each of his first 2 times up. Fastball off the inside corner. Reds with a 1-run lead. We're only in the top of the 5th inning. Grounded foul, the ball and a strike. Schwarber the tying run at third base. The lead run is Bryant out at second with 2 away. There's that breaking ball, and well, he's thrown a number of very, very good ones so far in the game tonight.
He really hasn't tried to complicate things too much either, because it's primarily fastball or, I gotta say, the 82 miles an hour. That's somewhere really in between his curveball and his slider. Sometimes if you throw both of them, they kind of blend into one. Well, the one that's blended into is pretty good. He hung that one.
Base hit in the right. The Cubs have the lead for the 2nd time in the game. Soler going for 2 and short hopped. The throw bruised to Suarez, and that's a 2-run double on an 0-2 pitch, or a 2-strike pitch.
Well, it could have been they tried to get a little too cute with Soler right there. That was 89 miles an hour, which led me to believe that it was maybe a slider that he tried to overthrow a little bit. And he hung it up there where Soler could put the bat on it and cleared the bases.
Here's Coghlan. Still an out to get here to tie a ribbon around his 5th inning. It's been a 3-run 5th inning for Chicago. Ryan Matthews has been up for quite some time. He is ready in the Reds bullpen. Lorenzen Spot is due up 2nd in the 5th inning, but you get the feeling if he can't retire Coghlan, his night's over. And he's fallen behind 3-0. Coughlin thought that was ball 4. Inning over. But the Cubs get 3, and they lead by 1.
Sunday, August 2nd. Plus, stick around after the game and enjoy a post-game faith concert featuring Grammy Award-winning band Third Day. It's presented by Prasco. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or reds.com/tickets. Reds need a run. Tom Berteman.
You're right about that, Jimbo. 4 runs, 7 hits for Chicago. 3 runs, 3 hits for the Reds against Clayton Ritchie. Tucker Barnhart, and for the time being, Michael Lorenzen is standing in the on-deck circle. Doesn't mean he'll stay in the game to pitch. They don't mind sending him up there to bat. And then Billy Hamilton due up third. Matthews still pacing around out there in the Reds bullpen. Reds did make a roster move today, as here's a little tapper to the second baseman Russell, 1 away. Manny Parra was placed on the 15-day disabled list today with a strained left elbow. That's his pitching elbow. And the Reds brought up from AAA Louisville, right-hander we saw at the end of last year in the Reds starting rotation, Dylan Axelrod.
So that leaves the Reds with a blank spot as far as left-handers out of the bullpen. Except for Aroldis Chapman, of course, the closer.
And I think every bit as importantly, especially where the Reds are in the standings right now, I'm not going to say for sure it makes a trade if possible, but you'd find it very hard to imagine there's going to be any team out there, because Parra no doubt has some value to some team. There's a ground ball to the glove side by Bryant. His throw is in time. And that trip to the disabled list would take Manny Parra right through the trade deadline. And there are a number of teams that were very interested in Manny Parra. Now, I'm not suggesting you're going to get anything for him, and we're not sitting up here making the suggestion that they should trade Manny Parra. But there certainly was some value there.
So if he gets healthy, though, it doesn't mean you can't make a trade after the trade deadline. You just have to run a player through waivers. So he might be a player that, if you did put him on the waiver wire, another team may want to pick him up because he doesn't come with Doesn't come with a multi-year contract that's going to hamper any, your budget going forward. But he does leave the Reds without any left-handers in the bullpen. And evidently there are no major league ready relievers down in the minor leagues to come up. So if the Reds do start dealing or deal some players in, this trade period, maybe one of the things they're looking for in return is left-handed relief pitching.
0-2 to Billy Hamilton. And again, he hits a fly ball. Inning over. We go to the 6th. Cubs in front by a run. Till the bottom of the 1st inning, and then Todd Frazier tied it with his 26th. So a 1-1 game. Stayed that way until the Reds got on the board in the 4th inning with a couple of runs. One on a wild pitch, the other on a home run by Marlon Byrd, his 16th. But the Cubs would get a run-scoring double by Anthony Bryant, and then a 2-out, 2-strike, 2-run double down the right field line by Jorge Soler to take what is a 4-3 lead now into the 6th inning. Michael Lorenzen goes 5, allows 7 hits, 4 runs all earned. He fanned 5 and walked 3. And now coming on to pitch, Ryan Matthews.
Back-to-back days here for Ryan. Was in yesterday's ball game, only a third of an inning. A hit and a walk and a run, and a costly error.
And the error was his own. A big swing and pops it up into foul ground. It's out of play. And a nice catch made down there by that young man. And you're allowed to call a guy that has silver hair, as I like to refer to it, as a young man.
Yeah.
Our younger audience is screaming at the television over that comment, but
it's all relative.
It really is.
Wait till they have silver hair.
Any hair.
Here's the catch. Well, the young guy kind of shying away there.
Naturally. The veteran. Oh, boy.
Look what I found.
And a throw just in time. That shook up Ryan Matthews a little bit. And it may have forced him to twist a knee or twist an ankle. Paul Lessard, the Reds head trainer, comes sprinting out. Brian Price walks behind him now into a jog, and Jeff Pico right on his heels.
Yeah, he may have reacted so quickly, but the wrong way, that twisted part of his leg. They're looking at his knee right now. Take another look at it.
It's his left knee they're looking at. Maybe right there.
Oh, yeah.
Came down with his leg in a very awkward position. All his body weight coming right back on the outside of that knee as it turned inward. And the angle of the foot was quite awkward. They're going to have him throw a few pitches, maybe just, a burst of pain, you hope, and hopefully he's all right. He cut that one loose. He's okay. Already gave the thumbs up after one pitch. All right, good.
Unfortunately, we've not seen a lot of FaceTime from Paul Lessard, the trainer.
Well, unfortunately for him, so much of their work is hanging around with Dr. Krimchek so far this year, with all the guys that have been hurt. Season-ending injuries. Homer Bailey going back to spring training. Devin Mesoraco. Zach Cozart. Of course, Marlon Byrd on the DL for a couple of weeks with a broken wrist.
Saw Devin Mesoraco today hobbling around on crutches a little bit. Asked him, he said he was pain-free and very encouraged that he'll be back to normal.
We see Homer all the time. He does not travel with the Reds. It's a very stringent rehab to come all the way back. That was something we heard quite a bit of from Jose Fernandez when we were down in Miami, how there were so many things he wanted to do, but he made himself stick to the plan. And he said there's no doubt in his mind that plan and staying with it is the reason he is back healthy and pitching again. Strike three call to Richard, 2 away in the inning.
Ryan Matthews, a fastball strikeout of the opposing pitcher, and we'll pick that one for our flamethrower of the night, brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce.
Two away in the inning, and now Addison Russell, a perfect night for him. A pair of singles and a run scored. Cubs 4 runs, 7 hits. Reds 3 runs, 3 hits. We're in the 6th. Bird will get there, and Matthews with a 1-2-3 inning. Reds have a top of the order coming up, down by a run.
The Reds take on the Pirates, plus the first 25,000 fans in attendance will receive a Devin Mesoraco bobblehead. It's presented by St. Elizabeth Healthcare. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or reds.com/tickets. So, Mezzo bobblehead. As you guys said, it's nice to see him up and pain-free after hip surgery.
Swinging a foul ball out of play by Brandon Phillips, leading off the inning. Tell you what, it's going to be very interesting to see what the Reds elect to do moving forward with Devin Mesoraco. That one hooked into left field. That is a base hit for Brandon Phillips. He is going to slam on the brakes after a hard, fast turn at first base. So the Reds down a run. That's a nice way to start the Reds' 6th inning.
Brandon seemed awfully anxious the first couple of times up. He got a good pitch to hit right there. Second time he's pulled the ball. Last time it was right at the third baseman. Votto's been a little bit more patient, trying to make Richards throw more pitches as he usually does.
Votto has bounced to first, drawn a walk, scored a run. Started 2 and laid off a breaking ball away from it.
Getting back to what the comment about Devin Mesoraco, will be interesting what the Reds decided to do with him. You mean whether he comes back and tries to be a full-time catcher or maybe try somewhere else?
Yes. I know there are some in the Reds organization that feel if there is even a whisper of discomfort coming back, because obviously he wants to come back and catch.
Sure.
And that would be the plan of the organization. But there are some that feel if there is any whisper of trouble, you consider taking a look at him in the outfield.
Well, I wonder, you know, Tom, if it's the type of injury that you come back from, that maybe you play the first half of next year as an outfielder, and then as it gets stronger and you get further away from your surgery date, you can kind of mix in the catching thing, because I mean, he can fall out of bed and catch.
Double play ball here all the way, and there's 2 outs in the inning. Second one of those turned by the Chicago defense tonight, and they've both been big ones, especially that one in the 4th inning. The Reds ended up scoring twice in the inning. Once on a wild pitch, and they got a 2-out solo home run by Bird. A reminder coming up later. We'll have our Miller Time moment brought to you by Miller Lite. Here comes Joe Madden. Clayton Richard gives him 5 2/3 innings of.
Yeah, I guess they told him, hey, you know, it's either 5 2/3 or 70 pitches, whatever comes first. And they both came at the same time.
Well, he only gave up 4 hits and 3 runs, so he did a decent job here tonight. I mean, he's
Sure
1
did.
out away from what is considered a quote-unquote quality start. 4-3 ball game. 2 down, none on. Cubs leading 4-3. Clayton Richard gives way to Justin Grimm. Well, this Cubs pitching staff has been on an incredible run. I mean, you can make an argument that they have been the best pitching staff in all of baseball this entire month. In fact, the ERA would back that up. 2.12. The lowest team ERA in the major leagues. The Mets would be next closest. Cubs pitching staff all leads the majors this month with a 193 batting average against. Mark.
Well, they even got stronger today by the addition of Rafael Soriano to be one of their setup men in the bullpen.
They had not allowed, the starting pitchers that is, had not allowed a home run coming into this game in their last 12 games. Only 2 in the last 20. They had gone 78 consecutive innings without giving up a home run before Frazier hit the long ball to center field. Of course, Bird would add 1 in the 4th.
Well, you may want to know why they would take Clayton Richard out after pitching only 70 pitches. They figured he probably wasn't going to come back out for the 7th inning anyway. So why face a guy that has already hit you twice, once for a homer?
Well, Frazier's had a good night. He had an off day yesterday. He did pinch hit, but that's all he did. He homered his first time up, singled his next time up, and now a hitter's count for one of the best hitters so far this season in all the Major League Baseball. And there's ball 4 to Frazier, and here comes Jay Bruce. Join the Reds in celebrating the nation's armed forces at the ballpark during Military Appreciation Days presented by Disabled American Veterans and Retire Med IQ. Purchase a Military Appreciation Day ticket package, receive a Reds ticket and a pair of Reds Aviator sunglasses, and with each package purchased, the Reds will donate a percentage to the proceeds back to the DAV. Great stuff for the Reds and by the Reds. It's been a quiet night for Bruce.
Well, I get the feeling he's happy that the lefty's out of the ball game, even as much as he has hit left-handers very well for home runs. He did not look good against Clayton Richards. Throw one over the first base. Make sure Todd's not going to steal one on you.
And Frazier has 8 in 12 attempts. Frazier, by the way, is sitting on 99 career home runs. He will become a 27th player in Reds franchise history to reach triple figures.
You think they're talking home run derby down there at first base, Frazier and Rizzo? I mean, he's been down there once before, so they've had a chance already to strike it up and talk a little bit.
Of course, Rizzo and his teammate Bryant both were eliminated in their opening round bracket of that home run derby.
Well, you know, when I went up and introduced myself to Kyle Schwarber, and there's Kyle, before the ball game, That's all he wanted to talk about was the home run derby. He was there. He goes, how about Frazier? But you got to remember, this kid, he's really fresh out of college and grew up right here. I mean, he's been coming down to loads of ball games night after night, watching us every night. Big Frazier fan. Which is an easy thing to be.
Well, any young person, boy, girl, baseball player, softball player, none of the above. I mean, they're growing up during this time frame right now and watching Reds baseball. Frazier's going to be right at the top of the list. Whoa. And my, oh my, talking about home run derby. Reds lead by a run. Talked about it being a quiet night so far for Bruce tonight, and he's not had many over the last month. Well, that was a loud noise coming off this swing.
I'm not so sure Jay Bruce can hit a ball farther than that. Absolutely crushed. Man, that's got to feel good. Hit a ball that hard.
Number 15 now for Bruce. Bird got his 16th his last time up. So the move to the bullpen.
I can tell you, though, Joe Madden is internally churning. I mean, you bring in the right-hander to face Todd Frazier, and he walks him. And now here comes Bruce. And he doesn't really want to make another move. Go to the pen again. And he gives up a home run to the left-hander. The rest of the lineup really is all right-handed, with the exception of Tucker Barnhart, the switch hitter.
For Jay Bruce, that's his 197th career home run. He is one behind Barry Larkin for 9th on the Reds' all-time home run list. .456 feet on that home run by Jay Bruce.
Gets him an extra 30 seconds.
Yes, it would. Well, you need 2 of those. You know, it's funny, they had to change those rules the day of the home run derby. And I tell you, they're not going to ask my advice, nor should they, but having been down there and been a part of it, 5 minutes was the original time allotment. They trimmed it down to 4. You had a chance to earn an extra minute 30 under the original rules. That got trimmed down to 30 seconds. And I think if you even talk to the guys who were in the home run derby, they would tell you they were done.
Yeah, they looked whipped.
Yeah, and so I wouldn't even flirt around with the idea of going to 5 with a chance to earn 130. 4 and an additional 30. How could it get any better than the home run derby we had this year? And it wasn't just the final, and it wasn't just the fact that Frazier won. Every one of the matchups, really except for the first one, were just terrific. And there was more than enough time to determine a winner.
Well, didn't they shorten it all because of impending weather?
They were worried about it, yeah. And they did it the morning of the game of the derby. Gone swinging is Bird, but what a big one for the Reds. They get a 2-out walk and a bomb from Bruce. We march to the 7th. The Reds lead the Cubs 5-4.
Middletown product, and his family big Reds fans. In fact, I didn't know until I interviewed him that Kyle Schwarber has attended Reds live postgame.
I think we were playing Pittsburgh. We just beat Pittsburgh, or you guys, sorry, I can't say we anymore. You guys beat Pittsburgh. Yeah. And, you know, I was out there with all my friends, and it was a big win, and we just came out there with the little post game and just started banging on it, yelling your name. You wouldn't even look. What are you doing?
I didn't look at you?
What are you doing? No, it's good.
So there you have it. Tell you what, he had to catch himself there. A lifetime full of wheeze when he's talking about the Reds. Now the Reds on the other side of the field, but he was one of the minions of Reds live postgame. Love it.
Well, that's a great story. Boy, how cute was that, him saying we? That was that's good stuff. Really good stuff. All right. One of the pitchers we did not see in that marathon yesterday out of the Reds bullpen was a man who takes over now on the mound to face the top of the order, and that's right-hander Dexter Fowler. Some might be wondering, you know, we haven't seen Badenhop in this role. Team leading by a run. We're in the 7th inning. There are some tired pitchers in that Reds bullpen. And so tonight, it's his job to get 3 outs in the 7th.
I'll tell you what, he's getting barked at. That is a home plate umpire, Paul Schreiber, by the entire Cubs bench. And he just started to charge that bench until he was headed off by Joe Madden.
And somebody's just been thrown out of the game. I don't think it was Madden.
I don't think so either.
Because we followed him and he didn't say a word.
Well, whoever it is, it looks like Davey Martin. Is that? Oh, that's David Ross.
You can read his lips. He said, he told me to shut up. David Ross is saying that about the umpire, that he told me to shut up.
Now, in case you're wondering if it was David Ross to be tossed, so we believe it probably is, the Cubs do have another catcher. Taylor Teagarden is the catcher.
Boy, all that over a check swing.
So out of character, really, for David Ross. I mean, we knew him for years here when he was really the personal catcher for Bronson Arroyo. And kind of rejuvenated his career right here. Very mild, super nice guy, and something must have snapped.
All right, 2-2 on Fowler. Schwarber to follow. And that ball is too low. Well, if they're going to get on, they just have to earn their way on. Just get a big home run from Jay Bruce. You've come back twice already in the game tonight. And at the end of the day, Dexter Fowler is a .230 hitter. And he has just walked to begin the inning.
Well, here's his dad, Greg, who came up to the booth with us, and a lot of other friends and family from Middletown, all wearing Cubs gear. And why not?
One of his sisters there is sitting right next to Dad. Here's ball 1.
You know, I talked to Dad a little bit in between innings and asked him, I said, well, when did Kyle make the decision to play baseball instead of football? He said he had a whole big box of letters from schools that wanted him to go to play football, and a very small little collection of letters about baseball.
Bird will handle a pop-up by Schwarber. 1 out in the inning. Well, after our game tonight and after every Reds game here on Fox Sports Ohio, we invite you to stick around for Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. We'll break it all down. So here's Chris Bryant, 1 of 3. Drove a double off the right center field wall, a ground rule double into the stands, knocking in a run in that 3-run 5th. One ball and 1 strike on Bryant, who has 12 home runs and 52 driven in.
Bryant with some tremendous power, but he also has the ability to strike out a lot. He's already struck out more than 100 times, 107 coming into this ball game. 12 home runs. I wonder if he's going to, or already does, remind Cubs fans of the big right-handed hitter they once had there, who would swing and miss a lot and hit him a long way. King Kong, Dave Kingman.
I think early indication certainly would be this young man is going to be a far better overall hitter than Kingman was.
I would think so, yeah.
Because it truly was feast or famine for Kingman.
I remember mostly feast.
But throw down to first. Fowler's been around for a while.
Perfect throw to, perfect pitch to throw it on, a pitch that's low and away when the catcher has his momentum going that way. And that ball been on the money on the other side of the bag, you had a chance to get him.
Kingman was a guy who hit 442 home runs in his career, but a career batting average of .236, and he struck out over 1,800 times. Here's a pop-up. Hamilton will run this one down. 2 away in the inning. And his strikeout total was the 4th highest in Major League Baseball at the time of his retirement.
Well, he was just ahead of his time then with the strikeouts.
He originally came up with the Giants. Yeah, in fact, there have been so many players that have passed him with that total since he retired.
I think he went to USC, didn't he? And was a pitcher at one point.
Well, he grew up, you know, he was a Chicago guy. He grew up, went to Prospect High School in Illinois, and yes, he went on to play for Rod Dado at USC.
I think he may have been a teammate of George Grant or right around that same era.
But he was a pitcher and then was converted into an outfielder while at USC. And in 1970, did George play on that team and went to the College World Series and won it all?
No, not 1970. Just missed it. Maybe that was the move they had to make. Graduate George and then go to the World Series. Sorry, George.
We got this guy named King Kong. We want to take your place. George Grant graduated in 1969, so that may have been the move. All right, big pitch right here. You knew he was swinging 3-0.
And you knew he was getting a breaking ball. And that's the way they got him out last time. With a couple of runners on base. That was, looks like they were about to get out of the inning there before Soler hit a double down the right field line. But they tried to make Rizzo swing at something other than fastballs tonight.
Big shift put on Rizzo. Second walk of the inning given up by Badenhop. Walked the leadoff man, retired 2 in a row. Now walk to Rizzo, and here comes the right-handed batting Soler. Well, as promised early in the game, we've selected the Data Strong Fan Photo of the night. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag Ohio Data Strong Fan. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Carol, thank you. One with Todd Frazier there. Well, before the game tonight, the Reds make a great practice of honoring state champions, whether they be individual or team champions around the tri-state. Moeller High School, their head coach Tim Held, in his 7 years since taking over from Mike Cameron, won his 4th state championship. There's Ron Roth, our official scorer, who of course has been a big part of Moeller baseball and golf for a long time. What an incredible program they run over there, not only in athletics but also in academics. It's just a terrific school. Archbishop Moeller High School. It's not too bad when you have the All-Star game in town and you have an American League Most Valuable Player, Hall of Famer to be, throughout the first pitch of the Home Run Derby. Moeller High School grad Ken Griffey Jr. And then when the Reds franchise 4 is introduced, a National League Most Valuable Player, Hall of Famer from Archbishop Moeller High, Barry Larkin.
Pretty impressive.
Not bad. Strike 1 to Soler.
And as I understand, neither of those teams that they played on, neither Larkin nor Griffey, did they win the state.
Can't remember Larkin, but I know Griffey did not.
Were you bat boying for them then?
Bat boying for Ken Griffey Jr.? Yeah, I left the Cubs during the offseason and went bat boy for Moeller High. 1-1 to Jorge Soler. I'm trying to get my son to bat boy.
You pick up any work where you can get it.
You better believe it. They start spring ball early over at Moeller. One ball, one strike, and now Badenhop going to back off the rubber. And there a fastball strike to get ahead 1-2. Reds with a 1-run lead. The Cubs bat here in the 7th. Badenhop trying to put Soler away. He had the 2-strike, 2-run double down the right field line in the 5th. 2-2. Action pitch coming up here. Phillips, look at this! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! I mean, there's a treasure full of those from Brandon Phillips, but this is unbelievable.
The 7th week go. Time now for tonight's IGS Bringing the Energy. This guy will lead off this half inning for Cincinnati. Now entering tonight after being called up from AAA on June 11th. Eugenio Suarez, 314 average coming into tonight's game. 5 home runs and 15 runs driven in. He has certainly proven that he is a professional hitter and getting better every game. And gentlemen, Brandon Phillips makes those behind-the-back plays a lot, but how about Suarez, barehanded running catch on the other end? And this crowd is still buzzing after that play.
Well, Jim Day, I'm going to tell you right now, I mean, with the relationship that you and Brandon have, and we talk about it all the time, in a pregame tomorrow, you better be getting together with him.
Oh, unbelievable.
And look, we see the guy every night. But I mean, more than anything else, and by no means is it a knock on Darwin Barney 3 years ago. Brandon won it the following year. DJ LeMahieu last year. It is nothing against either one of those players. I have no doubt they are outstanding defenders in their own right. But anybody that would have a chance to see Brandon Phillips play every day, there is just no way in good conscience that anyone else should win the Gold Glove at second base. There's just no way.
Well, he makes some of the most beautiful plays that any defender at any position will make. And creative plays.
But all true. But you made the point in the game yesterday. I've always thought one of the worst things I would ever once said about me, and we say it about a lot of defenders through the year, is they make the spectacular, they don't make the routine. because that is just a lack of focus and a lack of concentration is all that is if you get labeled that way. But you pointed it out yesterday as Neil Ramirez takes over on the mound. Reds in front by a run here in the 7th inning. There was a routine ground ball in the game hit either on Friday night or in yesterday's game, and you pointed out immediately Brandon Phillips goes down on one knee to make sure the ball does not get by him. He makes a spectacular. He makes the routine. He is the best defensive second baseman in baseball.
Agreed. And it doesn't come by luck, because we're out here early every day and we see him take ground ball after ground ball. I'm talking about dozens every day. And he starts off with one of those gloves that looks like a plate. There's no pocket in it. And you learn how to field a ball with 2 hands when you do that. So if you're sitting at home and you want to be a good defender.
Suarez puts a charge into 1, and Soler can't handle it. This might be 3. It will be 3. And Soler's slow to get to his feet. A 3-base hit by Eugenio Suarez to begin this Red 7th.
Well, he had a good day over yesterday at the plate and over the weekend as well. He's been swinging the bat after a little bit of a mini slump right there. Got under that ball. I didn't know if it was going to carry enough. Soler thought he was up against the wall when he made that jump, and he actually jumped and then jumped into it and got jolted pretty good.
Some guy.
Infield in. Tucker Barnhart, the batter. This would be a very important run for the Reds to push across to make it a 2-run advantage here in the bottom of the 7th. They have Hoover ready in the bullpen.
Now that was the big swing Tucker had. You really ought to come up here with a little bit of an adjustment, even 1 pitch before you get to 2 strikes. Shorten it up, get a ball into the outfield, and get that run in.
Jason Bourgeois has moved into the on-deck circle. That's a pitcher spot. Badenhop next. Bourgeois had a big base hit in that game yesterday and a loss, albeit 3-1 on Barnhart. That's when Jason had that game-tying single with 1 out in the bottom of the 9th inning, sending us into extra innings, a game the Reds would lose 5-3 in 11. Castro knocks it down and can't find the handle. Staying put at third is Suarez. That'll be an error. Is that an error or hit? It's a base hit. Well, Joe Madden will make the slow walk to the mound once more. What has been a dependable Cubs bullpen has been anything but that so far here tonight. They brought in Grimm with the bases empty and a 1-run lead in the 6th. He walked Frazier, gave up a 2-run home run to Bruce, and now Ramirez comes in and so far has allowed a triple and an infield hit.
Well, this is more than just a meeting at the mound to talk to the pitcher. He's talking to every one of the infielders and instructing them. as to what he wants to do as far as defensive placement, where they want to come with the ball. And it looks like they're going to play the infield right in on the edge of the grass, forego the double play possibility, and keep that run from coming in. I guess with Aroldis Chapman looming in the bullpen, I don't know whether they feel like he's available or not tonight. But they're playing it like the Reds have been able to shorten the game.
Chapman threw more pitches yesterday than any outing of his major league career. His prior high was 36, and he threw 44 in his 2 innings of 2-hit, 5 strikeout shutout baseball in the extra inning game yesterday. 1-0 on Bourgeois, who bats for Badenhop. Badenhop works a scoreless 7th inning. Right now, the pitcher of record for the Reds is Ryan Matthews. He came on, pitched a scoreless 6 before the Reds got the 2 in the bottom of the inning, but a long way to go before we get there. Good eye by Bourgeois. 2 balls and a strike. Fastball up. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Runners on the corners, nobody out. Infield in for Chicago. Line drive, boy, that's just tough luck hitting by Bourgeois. That ball hit right on the nose. 1 out. Well, here comes Joe Madden again, so there will be a pitching change this time. Second visit in the inning by the Chicago skipper. Ramirez goes a third. A couple of hits so far. Former Red Travis Wood will come on from the bullpen, a left-hander to face Billy Hamilton. I'm sure Hamilton's saying that's okay by me. A better right-handed hitter than left-handed. We're back in a moment. some success against Matt Harvey and the Mets. Plus, why not winning the Oakland championship may actually be the best thing for Jordan Spieth. I can't wait to hear the explanation for that.
Yeah.
Watch Fox Sports Live on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
I don't think he wrote that headline.
I can promise you. Anybody that's ever played anything didn't write that headline. All right, Billy Hamilton against Travis Wood. Reds have runners on the corners. 1 out. And a 5-4 lead over the Cubs. Foul out of play. Now look, when we tell you that Billy Hamilton has been a better right-handed hitter than left-handed hitter, that does not mean that he's been a good hitter. He's batting barely over 200 left-handed. He's batting 238 right-handed.
Well, career-wise, though, Tom, the same trend holds, but the numbers are better. What the Cubs are really hoping for here is a strikeout.
Now, Hamilton has not had a lot of success against Travis Wood. Only 2 hits and 12 at bats. Those are the numbers this season.
Ball 3. Boy, he keeps pecking away at that outside corner with that little backdoor cutter. Just missing.
Hamilton, a pair of fly balls to left field so far tonight. Three and 2. Suarez started the inning with a triple to right field. Stayed right there on an infield hit by Barnhart. Now with 1 out, 3-2 to Hamilton. And there are 2 outs in the inning. He went after ball 4.
Formula was pretty simple right there for Travis Wood. Just stay away, away, away. Look where all those pitches are. Number 6 coming up, and that's well off the plate. I don't even think he threw him one pitch that would have been called a strike in that entire at bat.
So the Reds have gone from first and third, nobody out, to first and third, 2 out. And here's Brandon Phillips, 1 of 3 in the game. Brandon singled into left field his last time up. Just like that, it's 0-2. Up around the knee. Get a better look here. Ouch. Yeah, just under the knee. Cubs are really used to playing tight ones. They have seen 45 of their 90 games, exactly half, decided by 2 runs or less. 35 of a 90. 1 run. 0-2. And a fastball down and in to Brandon Phillips. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Bruce, a man putting the Reds in the driver's seat, at least so far. Brought to you by Kia. That big 2-route, 2-run home run way back into right field in the 6th inning. Reds trying to add to the lead, but they'll need a 2-out hit or somehow, some way, Phillips to get aboard. And again, the delay going on between Wood and Schwarber forces Brandon to ask for timeout.
Well, you can almost expect that because Schwarber has not caught this pitching staff very much, and this is a very key part of the ball game. He doesn't want to make a mistake, and Wood doesn't want to throw something that he's not happy with. That was a breaking ball on a 1-2 pitch. I imagine Wood's going to go back to his number 1, which is either a 4-seam fastball outside or a backdoor cutter.
Did not miss by much. Tried for that outside corner.
Going to do a little more barking out of that Cubs dugout.
Down to Bryan. He'll play to first, and the inning is over. Reds strand 2. We go to the 8th. Reds lead 5-4. Sports Ohio, brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by your local Toyota dealer, proud sponsor of the Cincinnati Reds. The first of 4 between the Reds and the Cubs in 3 days. We'll have a day-night doubleheader here on Wednesday. And the Reds through 7 with a 5-4 lead, and they will hand it to a guy who has just been outstanding. And that is right-hander J.J. Hoover. Look at the numbers. 1.34 ERA, opponent batting average at 157 in 41 games, spanning 40 1/3 innings. JJ worked a perfect 8th against the Indians yesterday. He did not pitch on Saturday night. He did pitch a scoreless inning in the 6-1 win over Cleveland Friday night.
You know, when you look at the year that he had last year and then what he's done this year, you have to give a lot of credit to Brian Price. He had never left the corner.
The ball down the left field line, and that is a fair ball up against the wall. It'll be a double by Coghlan.
That's good hitting there. I mean, for Hoover to go 1-10 last year with an earned run average up around 5 and come back this year and be one of the best relievers in baseball as far as setup men go.
Here comes Starlin Castro. He does not have a sacrifice all year long.
Now they're going to try to let him hit the ball on the right side. But can he do it?
You know, this is one of those kind of baseball axioms that I have never heard explained to me in such a way that it would change my mind on the way I feel about it. And that old being, you know, play to win on the road, play to tie at home. I've never understood it.
You know, I'm with you. I don't get it either.
I mean, why have 3 guys in a row go up flailing to try and knock in a run when you can score a run and not have a hit? I don't care if you're on home on the road. I take my chances with the other team coming to bat in the 8th inning in a tie game than down a run. Who was the first guy to say that? Do you have any idea?
I don't know.
Did you ever talk to anybody about it that tried to make the argument for it? I'm just curious.
No, I have not.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Well, if Castro wanted to hit the ball to the right side, that last pitch was the one he should have done it with.
And that swing wasn't it.
But that swing was not it. Exactly.
Well, 2-1, maybe he cuts it down here. We'll see. Well, this will get the runner to third. Boy, that ball's hit a mile by Castro. So he does his job. They let him swing away, and he advances Coghlan on to third. He nearly effed the yard.
I think one reason why you may want to let the hitter hit there rather than bunt is because there's no guarantee he's going to get a bunt down, number 1. And number 2, that you do have a chance of driving him in with a base hit and keep the inning alive. If you bunt him over to third base, you're almost guaranteed that if you score in that inning, you're only going to get 1.
Jonathan Herrera. Will come up to the plate. He's had a very good month. Primarily as a pinch hitter. They'll get a start from time to time. But a .409 batter here in the month of July. Went 2 for 4 with a 2-run single yesterday in the win over Atlanta. Herrera beat the Reds with a game-ending base hit earlier this year in Chicago. Fastball in, infield in. A leadoff double by Coghlan. He's now at third after the long fly ball that advanced him off the bat of Castro. Two balls and no strikes.
Would the Cubs be thinking about a squeeze bunt right here with Herrera? Not exactly a run producer, but
broken bat. Votto will look the runner back, take the out. 2 away in the inning.
Boy, getting right in his kitchen there was J.J. Hoover with that fastball. There's splinters flying everywhere.
All right, 2 away, and here's Addison Russell. Naturally, the infield backs up. Tying run at third. 2 away in the 8th. Fastball is high. Russell single to center in the 2nd. Single to right, scored a run in the 3-run 5th. Fly to left field, ending the 6th inning. Two 2-0 to Addison Russell. Threw a fastball by him at 95. Two balls and a strike. I mean, nothing but country hardball in this at bat. 95 again, and again swung on and missed. So now Hoover a strike away. Hoover is an out away from the Reds, coming to bat in the bottom of the 8th with a 1-run lead. Try to get him to chase that high fastball with a little more hair on it. Ball 4. It's a 3rd walk by a Reds reliever in the last inning in 2/3.
Walked 10 yesterday, including the 6 by Johnny Cueto. 4 out of the bullpen.
And they've walked 6 so far in the game here tonight. Breaking ball up and away to Fowler. Talked about Fowler really not having much of an offensive year at all. He's had a perfect night tonight. Single, run scored, walk, single, thrown out at second, trying to turn it into a double, and he's also walked. It's the 3rd batter in a row now. Hoover has fallen behind, 2 balls and no strikes. It was a 2-0 pitch which Herrera grounded out on. He got back to 2-2 on Russell before walking him. In fact, he went to 4 in a row. He was 2-0 on Castro. And the inning is over. Got Fowler on a 2-0 soft liner. Reds will bat in the bottom of the 8th, leading 5-4. Well, get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before the start of every game with Reds Live here on Fox Sports Ohio. It's presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. We come your way tomorrow night at 6:30 once again. And don't forget, on Wednesday night, we will have the back end of that day-night doubleheader here on Fox Sports Ohio. We will not have the afternoon game. We will have a night game. And that'll start with the Reds Live at 5:30. 6:30 tomorrow. Jason Hamill having a very, very good year against Raisel Iglesias, making his second start since being brought back from the minor leagues following a trip to the disabled list. This guy's been around a long time, working his way up back from the minor leagues in injury. Rafael Soriano.
Well, really, Soriano was a free agent, and he was holding out for some money at the beginning of spring training and never got a job. In fact, he went all the way through April and then May and then into the early part of June without finding a job in baseball, or at least Major League Baseball that was satisfactory to him. Started out with the Scott Boras group, and after he was jobless long enough, he decided to change agents, and it was only about a month ago that he ended up signing a deal with the Cubs, a minor league deal. Pitched very well down in the minor leagues for them, and if he pitches like he can, he will add some depth to that bullpen.
Not the flamethrower he once was, but there certainly is a lot more moxie about Soriano as he's navigated his way through many years in the big leagues.
Well, if you notice, Joe Maddon likes to use a lot of relievers.
Two and one to Joey Votto. Reds batting last of the eighth, leading 5-4. Votto, Frazier, Bruce, the trio here. Soriano 2012 through 2014 piled up 117 saves, and he promptly walks the first batter of the inning. He averaged 39 per year, and his 200 saves, 7 saves overall, are the 7th most among pitchers pitching in the big leagues right now. It's a very good career, really good. I don't know if Soriano feels like he is getting squeezed by tonight's home plate umpire Paul Schreiber or not. But boy, his body language is just brutal out there on the mound for a guy who's pitching in the big leagues, you know, for the first time all year long.
Yeah. Now, maybe the best year that Soriano had was in 2010 when he pitched for Joe Maddon down in Tampa Bay. That's the year that he had 45 saves out of 45 opportunities and an earned run average of 1.7. He was dealing that year.
Comes with a 2-0 breaking ball, and Frazier fouls it away. His most recent run as a closer was with the Washington Nationals.
And he kind of got edged out at the end of the year last year, didn't he? And when he went looking for work this winter, maybe he just overpriced himself.
Of course, the Nationals, you know, it was very interesting after they had some bullpen meltdowns going back to the 2012 playoffs. That's when they had Soriano and they had Clippard and they had Storen. Here's a liner into left field, but it will be caught by Conlon, one away. You know, and then really some hiccups again in the postseason last year. Chris, it makes you wonder if they just didn't say to themselves, we know all these guys are pretty good, but we've seen them now in quote unquote big time moments, and perhaps it's time to move on. They traded Clippard. This guy was a 2-time All-Star.
Well, the other thing you look at, Tom, is the number of games and appearances that they're in. And there is a formula that baseball teams won't tell you about, but it's out there that you're throwing 65 to 70 games a year. There's a point at which you just fall off the cliff. Whether
for a number of years,
yeah, for a number of years. I mean, you do it 3 years. Some guys can do it 4 years. Some guys can only do it 2 years, where their stuff all of a sudden is a lot shorter, and they don't get anybody out. And there are a lot of general managers out there that think that middle relievers are very much interchangeable from year to year. And at a certain point, I think they're right. Although it's nice to have a nice 1-2 punch at the very end of a ball game.
It sure is. Of course, that's probably something the Reds are going to have to address, perhaps first and foremost. That ball is stung by Bruce to straightaway center field. This is going to drive in a run. Oh, boy.
Oh, wow.
Bounced over the wall. And they're going to stop Votto at third. Of course, Chris Bryant's over there saying, hey, hang with him. It happened to him, you may remember, back in the 5th inning.
Well, the home run ball that Bruce hit 459 feet was on a pitch up around his letters. That one he picks it right off his shoe tops. I can't believe with all the rain that we've had here, and they never put a tarp on the warning track.
Don't say that word.
That the warning track is as hard as it is.
Because people around here are already getting uptight about the potential of more of that shortly. Well, the Reds missed a golden chance with first and third and nobody out in the 7th. Now they have second and third, one out, and Marlon Byrd, the batter, here in the 8th, trying to stretch that lead. You know, Jay Bruce, for a guy who got off to such a dreadful start, this is the longest amount of time that I can remember in Bruce's very, very good major league career that I can remember him sustaining this kind of pace for as long as he had. I mean, you know, a lot of times you'll say he'll get hot for a month. He'd really get hot for about 17, 18 games. He has been legitimately hot for over a month now. Swinging a foul ball out of play. And it gives you an idea of how poorly he started, because he's been better than a .330 batter for a month just to get his average up to .255.
It's a long way to go when you spend the month of April on the interstate.
Precisely. But even tonight, you know, he starts quietly, hit into a big double play in the 4th inning. It looked like a big double play at the time. Marlon Byrd made up for it by hitting a home run. But then Bruce, the big bomb to give him the lead in the 6th. And now an important double you're hoping here in the 8th. Soriano ahead of Marlon Byrd at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Oh boy. And again, Soriano sort of, well, he is really upset with the umpire, or either really upset with himself. I shouldn't assume it's the umpire. But look at all those pitches. I mean, they are all right there. Two on Marlon Byrd. 3-2 the count. Chris, you talked about this guy's numbers last year. It's really hard to believe that there wasn't a team that even took a flyer on this guy. I mean, 64 games, 32 saves, and a 3.1 ERA. Maybe you don't sign him to be your closer.
Well, you know, I got to figure that was one of the things maybe. And the other thing was that maybe they were asking too much.
Yeah.
He eventually fired his agent and got a new one. And ended up signing a minor league deal.
Back to the mound. Votto's out. Boy, this is 2 innings in a row where the Reds had a runner at third with fewer than 2 men outs and have been unable to get him in. Now they'll need a 2-out hit. Chapman ready in the bullpen. Eugenio Suarez trying to deliver a 2-out hit and play to run. Suarez, a fly ball into center field, and the Reds miss a big chance again. The good news is they still lead, and Chapman's coming on for the night.
You see your Reds take on the Pirates. Plus, the 25,000 first in the ballpark receive a Devin Mesoraco bobblehead presented by St. Elizabeth Healthcare. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or reds.com/tickets. And
that'll be on the next homestand. The Reds go to Colorado and St. Louis. Then they come home to play the Pirates and the Cardinals. All right, here we go. The Reds miss a chance to add to what is a 1-run lead in each of the last 2 innings. And now they'll hand the ball to their closer coming off his most pitches ever thrown in an appearance in the big leagues. 44 of them yesterday, Chris, for Aroldis Chapman.
It had been a long time, though, but since he had pitched. Other than that, he pitched on Tuesday, of course, to strike out the side of the All-Star game, so he had plenty of rest. He only pitched once in Miami. The Reds were down there for 4 days.
All right, here we go. Lefty, righty, lefty. Of course, against Chapman, what difference does it really make? Schwarber, well, you can only wonder what's going through this young man's mind right now. If you weren't with us, we've documented. Schwarber grew up in Middletown, went to Middletown High School, big Reds fan, came to games all the time. There's his father sitting with a blue Cub hat there in the back. Talked about hanging out down at the Reds Live set after a game one night after a Reds win over the Pirates.
Couldn't even get Jim Day to look at him.
Talking about Todd Frazier and what a big fan he was of Frazier, and now here he is watching and facing, after watching, Aroldis Chapman. In there, a strike. I mean, it's the stuff that dreams are made of. Good, bad, or indifferent, how he does it is at bat. You grow up watching a guy like Chapman, and now you face him. Two balls and two strikes. In and out of the mid of Barnhart, but that's a strikeout. Did he end up catching that ball in the air?
No. It hit the ground, but Schwarber decided to go back to the dugout, and he was called out for abandonment.
Well, there it is. Okay. So one away here in the ninth inning. And now Bryant. Fastball at 100 miles per hour, fouled out of play. 1 ball and 1 strike. 2 plate appearances for Bryant against Chapman. A walk, a strikeout. High fly ball, center field. And this will be out number 2 in the ninth inning. 1 more to go. Now Rizzo has seen a lot of Chapman. 2 hits and 12 at bats, a double, 5 strikeouts. Fastball high and tight. Tardy off to the third base side. Chapman has only blown 1 save all year. Chapman ahead 1-2.
First slider of the night there for a strike for Chapman. Dried off his hand before he gripped that baseball just to make sure he had a good grip on it. As humid as it is, when you've got sweat running down your hand, it is very easy not to get a good grip. One pitch away now is Orioles.
1-2-1 Rizzo. High and tight at 102 miles per hour.
Man, man.
Since Aroldis Chapman blew a save on the 7th of September 2012 against Houston, he has converted 53 consecutive saves here at Great American Ballpark. And another one to it. Big fella throwing gas. And the Reds win the opener of this 4-game series. Chapman is 19 save, 5-4 our final. We'll be back with more in a moment.